Just before we get into this video, guys, if you want to follow me on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, the links are here. And if you also want to support me on Patreon as well and help out my channel, that would be absolutely awesome as well. But let's get on with the video. Hey guys, it's Wingy here and welcome back to a brand new episode of Ranking Doctor Who, the series where, would you believe it, I rank certain aspects of Doctor Who. Now, previously I've done the TARDISes, I've done the Doctors, I've done the Doctors' costumes, and I'm sure there was something else. Was there something else, or is that it? Doesn't matter, either way, this is part of a series. But this episode, I'm going to be looking at the Masters, because I think we have enough of them now. I'm going to rank them, I'm going to say what I think of each one of the Masters. However, there's a few things to take into consideration for this video. First and foremost, I'm only looking at the Masters who have appeared on TV, because I know that there are other versions that have appeared in Big Finish and other things like that, maybe like comic books and books, but I don't consider them canon a lot of the time. That's a debate all for itself. And secondly, there are some versions of the Master on TV that I'm also not gonna include. The main one being Derek Jacobi. Now, the reason why is because I don't feel like he appeared enough on screen for me to justify putting him in this list. He was literally the Master for like, what, 3 minutes, if that? And yes, I am well aware that he did more as the War Master for Big Finish, but like I just said, Big Finish, I'm not including that. I'm also going to be incorporating the Peter Pratt, Jeffrey Beavers Master as one version of the Master, because I think technically it's supposed to be. I mean, they're both decayed, obviously the makeup is slightly different, it was a few years between and it's two different actors, but that is the same incarnation. Yeah, I'm going to include them as one, but I do prefer one over the other. But I mean, I'll get to it. So, already this video has probably pissed somebody off. Let's get on with it and start ranking these Masters. Ranking. Rat-anking. Rat-anking. Not wanking. Don't slip up. So I'm going to be doing this in order from worst to best, in my opinion. And I should have specified this before. This is all my opinion. If your favourite Master happens to be at the top, then good for you. If they don't, it don't fucking matter either way. You have your own opinion. I'm not going to try and take away yours with what I think. So in last place, Eric Roberts. It's got to be on it. It's just got to be Eric Roberts. Now, I do feel bad because he wasn't given the best of scripts and he was clearly told that, oh yeah, Doctor Who's like this campy old show that used to be on the BBC. So he literally took those notes, like so literally that you could drop him into the Colin Baker era or the John Pertwee era, and even then he would stand out and be way too camp. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's a bad version of the Master. I quite like the fact that the Master was once again resurrected and stole somebody else's body. It's not exactly an original idea, we've seen that before. And I like that they kept that trend, but I just feel like Eric Roberts is too over the top and too much at certain times. I always dress for the occasion. Oh, it's just cringe. It's just so cringe. It's awful. Oh, I do actually quite like the TV movie though. However, I will say that Eric Roberts is probably one of the weaker aspects of that film. I do believe that he has done Big Finish recently, and if that is the case, then I hope he's better. I haven't heard it yet, and like I say, I'm not including Big Finish in this anyway. Fuck me if he's worse, Jesus. However, just to end on a positive note talking about Eric Roberts, there are some moments where he is actually quite threatening and intimidating, and I do quite like that, particularly early on when he's still like just ambulance guy. Yeah, he's pretty cool then, but after that, way too campy. Next up, we're going to be going with a controversial choice, I'm sure, and that's Missy, aka Michelle Gomez. So, some of you might be wondering why she's so low, and the thing is, I really do like Missy as a character. I think she's a load of fun, and I think if you are going to go for a female Master, you're going to get Michelle Gomez. However, like with Peter Capaldi, I do feel that the writing for her really let her version of the character down to the point where a lot of the time she doesn't even really feel like the Master, and it's not even a gender thing. And people are going to accuse me of sexism, saying that, oh, you're only saying that because she's a woman. But the point is, look at the plots that Missy has had. You compare them to the stories that previous Masters have had, and it's really lackluster in comparison. Missy isn't evil at all. Like, yeah, she's done bad things, as opposed to, yeah, I'm this sort of equal to the Doctor, I'm his rival. Especially when they started pushing the whole friendship thing, because yeah, the Doctor and the Master have previously been friends. But I think what makes them so compelling as characters is seeing them as two sides of the same coin, one good, one bad. I like having that clear line there. Missy really blurred the lines. And for some people, that might be what they want from a Master. It's something different, I can fully understand that. But for me, I would much rather have that Sherlock and Moriarty, Batman and the Joker style relationship for the Doctor and the Master. Plus, her biggest scheme in the entire series was, I'm gonna give you an army of Cybermen. because I want you to be my friend again. Is that it? Yeah, she did bad things here and there, but she never really felt like the main villain. She never really had time to breathe on her own. And when she did, well, she was trying to be good. So that kind of pissed me off. However, I will say that Missy as a character is fantastic. I just think as the Master, she is lacking somewhat, but she's not my least favourite by any means. I mean, the distance between Missy and Eric Roberts is quite large. I know they're next to each other, but there's a big gap here, trust me. Next up, now I'm going with the Peter Pratt / Jeffrey Beavers version of the Master. Now, I know technically they are two different actors, but they are playing the same incarnation, like I said before, so I am going to put them together. However, I will say that Peter Pratt is the superior out of the two, if you ask me. If we did incorporate Big Finish into this, yeah, okay, Jeffrey Beavers is actually quite cool. In fact, a lot of the stuff that he's done as the Master on Big Finish is really, really good. But given that Deadly Assassin is one of my favourite Tom Baker stories, Peter Pratt has to edge it for me. The idea of a decaying and corpse-like Master, or just Time Lord in general, because they'd run out of regenerations, I think is not only a horrific but a genius idea. And I think it was a better way and a nicer way of getting out of the fact that we want the Master again, but Roger Delgado's dead, so how do we do it? Although if you think about it, they replaced Roger Delgado with a decaying corpse. That could be misconstrued as quite poor taste, actually. But I like the fact that they didn't just straight up replace him, if you know what I mean. I mean, this is a Master who is desperate. Like, he is clamoring onto life. Like, he is literally doing anything that he possibly can just so he can survive. And you see that gratification that he has in Keeper of Traken, where he's just like, a new body at last. Like, finally, this grand scheme of mine has come off. And I think that's what really makes a villain compelling, when they are so desperate and they are so out of options that they are literally going to do anything. And he looks creepy as shit. Yeah, okay, the Master with the beard and like attack eyebrows is, you know, kind of intimidating. But this is a corpse. Like, I imagine kids back in the 70s must have been really creeped out when they saw Deadly Assassin because of him. Especially because of the fact that he has no human eyes. I think that's a weaker point of the Jeffrey Beavers one, and that's probably why I prefer Peter Pratt. Just because he looks dead. Like, he is literally a zombie. I absolutely love it. I actually don't even think it would be made in the modern series now. I don't think they would allow it now. But it's such a cool version of the Master. It's just a shame that Deadly Assassin, whilst a great story, a lot of people shit on it just because of, well, how they treat the Time Lords in it. And I think Keeper of Traken is an underrated gem in season 18 as well. So these Masters don't really get the props that they fully deserve. Next, I'm going to go with John Simm. Now, I don't know why I've put John Simm here. I could have put him lower if I'm being totally honest. The main reason being is because, well, you guys know my feelings towards The End of Time, and I think one of the worst aspects of The End of Time is how ham and over-the-top John Simm actually is. However, John Simm is one of my favourite actors, and what I really love about his Master is the fact that he feels like an opposite of David Tennant. Like, he feels like the anti-Tennant. In the same way that Roger Delgado is very much the antithesis. In the same way that Roger Delgado is the complete opposite of John Pertwee. Like I said before, different sides of the same coin. I think why John Simm is as high as he is because of his appearance in World Enough and Time. I like the fact that obviously David Tennant's Doctor is very sort of zany and kind of, ooh, you know, sort of scatterbrain, and this version of the Master is exactly like that as well, but he's evil. He's probably the first Master, possibly. I'm trying to rattle through all the Master stories off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure John Simm's Master is the first one to win, and the Doctor has to take back control, and even then, he's not the one who takes back control. I love that, and look, the resolution in Last of the Time Lords, I think, is absolutely bollocks. We saved everybody with prayer. Really, Russell? Really? But at the same time, I just love the fact that this Master won. Just flat out won. Took control of the planet without the Doctor being able to do a single fucking thing apart from grow old and be locked up in a cage. Amazing. The best Master, technically, in terms of, well, not really because it was undone, but I mean, A for effort, innit? Wouldn't it be cool if he was the new Ainley though? Like, just appears like from now on until the show gets cancelled. Like, he is the definitive Master. That'd be cool. Speaking of Anthony Ainley, he is going to be my second favourite. Now, the reason why Anthony Ainley is my second favourite, because to a lot of people, it will understand this. To other people, they'll be like, I mean, he's alright, but he's a bit campy, like you're moaning about Eric Roberts, but this guy... And yeah, admittedly, in certain episodes, Anthony Ainley's version of the Master is very theatrical, shall we say. But I do think that he has his really, really, really great moments, and he has appeared in some of the best Master stories that we have ever seen. This was also the first incarnation of the Master that I ever saw. I was aware of the character, kind of, like sort of going through my classic phase, and then I bought the New Beginnings box set, I believe it was called, where it's Keeper of Traken, Legopolis, and Castrovalva. So obviously, when Tom leaves, when Peter Davison comes in. He appears in all 3 of those stories. Now, Keeper of Traken, for the most part, he isn't the Master. He's playing a totally different character called Treemaster. Rearrange that in your head and see what it spells. I wonder what it might say. Then Legopolis, he is finally the Master. And then throughout the rest of the 80s, he just appears sporadically, like quite a few times in the 5th Doctor era, a couple of times in Collins' era, and then in Survival, the last ever story of the classic show as a whole. Ainley's a lot of fun. Like, if that's anything that I can say about Anthony Ainley's Master, I understand the criticism. I understand why people think he is a bit too campy. I don't think he is in every single story, but I love the fact that Anthony Ainley clearly has fun with the character, and that's what you want, really. You want somebody to take on a part and just enjoy doing it. You can tell that he loves playing the villain. He loves ramping it up. And like I say, I genuinely think some of the best Master stories have been with Anthony Ainley featured. Survival being one of them. I think Legopolis is one of them. Time Flight is definitely not one of them, so we're gonna forget that one. But yeah, it's more nostalgia for this one, because like I say, I must have been, what, 12, I think, when I first saw him on the screen, and I was just like, wow, this is the Master. And I must say, for a long time, to me, yeah, he was the Master. There was no other Master that was as good as Anthony Ainley for me. However, recently, well, I say recently, in the last few years, that's definitely changed. Obviously, there's a name that I haven't mentioned yet, and it's fairly obvious who it was, and I imagine a lot of people will be thinking, yeah, it's kind of obvious who was going to be #1 on this list. It has to be the original, Roger Delgado. Yep, for me, Roger Delgado is my favourite Master. I absolutely adore him. I've been on a bit of a Pertwee binge recently, and of course, if you're watching the Pertwee era, you'll realise that half of it features the Master, essentially. And while sometimes it can get quite tedious, like, oh, the Master's in it again. Oh, he's in disguise again. Oh, he's teamed up with another alien force. That can get frustrating, but his performances are fantastic. Again, you can tell that he is enjoying the fuck out of playing the Master. And like I mentioned briefly before, he is quite the opposite of Jon Pertwee's Doctor. Jon Pertwee is very much a sort of action hero, suave, sophisticated Doctor. This Master's not afraid to get physical either, and he is also very smooth and charming and suave. But he does it with such menace, and obviously his eyes, the infamous eyes where he hypnotizes people, they are really intimidating. Not quite like a corpse like I mentioned before, but still, they are quite intimidating. And he's got that glorious beard, you know, with the grey streaks here. Oh, everything about him is just the Master to me. He's exactly how you do a villain. I wouldn't really say that Roger Delgado is camp in the same way that Anthony Ainley or Eric Roberts could be, but he's such a likeable villain. There's just something about him that you know he's a bastard, you know he's an evil shit, you know that he's fucked up the universe royally, or if he could he would, but you just can't help but think, oh. Like, there's that moment in the Sea Devils that I really, really love where they visit him in prison and the Doctor goes to shake his hand and he goes, no. There's just a level of respect there between Roger Delgado and Jon Pertwee's Doctor. I absolutely love it. I think he's so good, and it is a terrible shame that he died, not only in such horrible circumstances, he was too young as well, really, and also we didn't get to see him properly end his tenure as the Master. I know what they originally planned, and I didn't really care for it, but I think that would have been better than what actually happened in Frontier in Space. Like, he's just on screen 1 minute, and then the Daleks appear, and then he just runs off. Like, that is the last glimpse that we've got of Roger Delgado's Master, and having watched Frontier in Space recently, it's a real shame and a massive letdown. But either way, he's still the Master to me. But either way, we had so many other great stories with him, so I guess I can't be too mad at it. So, they are my favourite Masters. Obviously, nobody's going to fucking agree with me, because nobody does with these types of videos. Everyone's just like, why have you put that one ahead of that one? Why isn't that one lower than that one? But either way, like I say, it's my opinion, and I don't give a fuck either way if you happen to disagree or not. It's not because I hate you or think that your opinion's wrong. I just don't care. I have my opinion, you have yours. Simple as. But in the comments below, dare I say it, let me know what you think. How would you rank the Masters? What's your least favourite, your favourite, whatever? And if you want to, you can include Big Finish Masters or Derek Jacobi if you wanted. Just let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it. Subscribe for more. And then Patreon, social media links, they are in the description as always. And if you follow me on any of those things, or subscribe, or like the video, or whatever, then I would love you forever. But until next time, guys, you take care of yourselves. Goodbye.